So Armistead Property is a small medium development property investment company based in Chorlton, South Manchester. We specialise in taking old rundown Victorian properties, usually around about 5 to 10,000 square feet, splitting them into apartments, renovating, design the best apartments in the area. We sell about 75% of everything we do. We keep about 25% of all our stock. So we've been doing this for about 21 years now. We've got a portfolio that we look after, and we normally have anywhere between 2 and 4 developments, up to, I think right now we're doing 36 apartments in Chorlton and Whalley Range. South Manchester. So everything very narrowly focused geographically and also business plan wise. We pick the same type of properties, we do the same type of jobs. The aim is just to get better and better. I was a lawyer many years ago, different life, and I was absolutely fanatical about skiing. So went to Whistler, British Columbia, which is where I am right now, by the way. Went there 23 years ago, fell in love with the place, went back. It was just a 1-week holiday, 10-day holiday. Went back to London, where I was working in the city as a lawyer, literally resigned Monday morning, 8 o'clock, and went 6 months later. I was back in Whistler. I had to try and find an income stream to replace the law, and the law is obviously, it's a lawyer's job, it's a decent income stream. So chose real estate. I already had a few properties in London at the time, and then set up a property investment business in Manchester, which then became more of a development business over the years. And the journey now is 22 years on. I wrote a book, Property Nomad, which is basically just a warts and all story about my journey. It quite amusingly, I did it a few years ago before COVID, and this was it was almost a blueprint guide about how to set up a real estate business in the UK and run it remotely from, my idea of paradise, wherever you want to be. It was pretty, when I did it 22 years ago, it was pretty, revolutionary. Not many people were doing down and dirty work in the UK, living abroad. Now it seems like I should almost throw the book away because everyone's doing that type of stuff. Everyone's got a laptop and they're working remotely. But back then it was something a little bit different. So I wrote a book on it. Yeah.
Brilliant to hear. And that's the thing. I think, what happens with these situations is sometimes it's just such a powerful experience, isn't it? Like you said, like drastic Monday morning, let's just do this, and there's that whole thing, isn't there, around entrepreneurship of sometimes people just dive in and, sometimes they'll spend 5-10 years creating an exit strategy. And I guess the way to do it is the way that makes sense for you, isn't it? Because you had already had those properties sort of under your belt. It wasn't, it wasn't literally into the abyss, right? You had, some portfolio already.
Correct. Yes. No, I was, it sounds very sort of dramatic, glamorous, just saying I went back and resigned immediately. And there was a little bit of that involved, but really, when I was a lawyer, I really enjoyed the job. I loved the work of being a lawyer. I didn't like the lifestyle that went along with it. I worked ridiculously hard. 80-hour weeks were just, that was bog standard. Saturdays, Sundays were a work day as well. So I was planning to get out of the law and live somewhere basically in a ski resort, somewhere in nature. I love long distance running. I love skiing, just generally being outdoors, as opposed to being a lawyer just at a desk. I had sort of a 5-year plan to try and find out exactly which ski resort, where I was going to be, which part of the world. I had 5 ski resorts. I was going to choose Whistler as just the first one, and it really accelerated everything. So it was very much, as soon as I went to Whistler, I was like, well, that's it. I found it. Why wait another 3 or 4 years being a lawyer when I know where I want to go? Let's jump in. I was back then, it was the late 90s in London, and I had a couple of houses in Clapham, one in Islington. I was making more money from capital appreciation from those properties than I was from being a lawyer. I was working really hard, and I'd done loads of studying to be a lawyer. I didn't know what I was doing in real estate. I'd literally just, you know, it was like a monkey throwing a dart at a board. Anyone could make money. And I thought, if it's that easy to make money right now, when I actually train myself up and do it properly, then there will be some good money in it. And I will be able to create the lifestyle that I want around that. So I wanted to be the business owner, being able to be flexible with working hours, etc. I mean, I didn't, by flexible, I don't mean working less. You know, it's just when I actually choose to work. Yeah. So right now I'm talking to you. I got up at 2:30 in the morning. You can probably, if I'll just tilt my camera around very slightly, the sun is rising. Wow. That is, I've been working now for 5 hours or so. I'll do another couple of hours work, and then long distance running, I will be going for a 3-hour run in about half an hour's drive away from where I live. So I can structure my day in that type of a way now that I've got this lifestyle set up.
Wonderful. And, you know, I think you hit on so many important points there around having a vision, you know, and the discipline as well, you know, because not that many people are that keen on getting up at 2:30. I know a few of my entrepreneur friends. That's the earliest one I've heard though. The regulars are usually like 3:30, 4:30. So I think you're setting a bit of a record. But, you know, I guess is that you know, time difference wise, or you know, connecting with the market? Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely correct. I mean, I am a fanatical morning person. I mean, I cannot stay up late these days at all. I never have been good at staying up late. I've always got up early, but 3 o'clock in the morning Canada time, well, British Columbia time, where I live, is 11 in the morning Manchester time, where I work. So if I get up just before 3 o'clock, I can start work at 11 UK time. I've only really missed the first hour or so of the working day when people are having a natter and having coffee, and I can work through and do a full day's worth of work. And it's almost as though I'm in Manchester. You know, I'm there so much. If you're listening to me now, I've lived in Canada for 20 years, and this is my accent. It's still a Manc accent. At the end of the day, I probably speak to more. Well, I do speak to more Mancunians in a day than I do Canadians. You know, bizarrely.
Yeah, we've not started saying a boot yet, so you're good, right?
I've not. No, I do. There's a couple of things I do say, but you know, I've lived over here for so long that there's a couple of things thrown in. So my name over here in England, I'd say Peter. Over here, I'd say Peter. They say it with a D. If you say Peter, you get a frown like pizza, Peter. What are you talking about? So it's Peter. Yeah. But apart from that, no, I don't have many Canadian expressions.
Well, we'll let you off for that. And absolutely, I think you hit again, you know, that thing of in the mornings, particularly people in, you know, employment, as you say, the first hour or two, it's just sort of log on, have a coffee. And it's not to say people don't work hard, but I think, like you say, just to sort of cruise in and be on the money at 11, it seems to work. So why not? So let's get into a little bit on, because obviously, you know, many developers will start and have, you know, a small portfolio, a bit of a sort of, you know, if you will, their pension, you know, maybe even collect quite a few properties. But there's quite a difference between that to actually scaling to the size of what you're doing. So can you speak to going from, as you say, having a handful of properties in Clapham, was it, London, to these much larger, you know, 3 dozen size developments, and a little bit around that path and that journey, and then we'll dig in a little bit more on that.
Sure. I guess the big step up for me came from doing single units, so individual houses, individual flats. I did probably a dozen, 15 or so of those. One a year when I was in London, and then a few a year after I moved to Whistler. And I did a couple in Whistler, and then a couple in Manchester, a few more in Manchester. The game changer for me really came when I met a mentor, a guy called Tim Greenwood, who was one of the bigger players in South Manchester. And he's a really nice guy. I just got to know him as a friend. I think I met him in an estate agent's shop one day, and we got talking, and he had, you know, a couple of hundred properties. It's like, wow, you know, massive. I've got 7, you know, can I take you out for coffee? He was really generous with his time. I said, sure. His business plan was buying blocks. So he would buy, not I don't mean high rises of 500 units. I mean, a big old house, 10,000 square feet split into 10 apartments. I looked at his business plan, saw that, realized it was a really good way to scale up, make more of a profit margin, and also saw a way of tinkering with his business plan to make it more what I would want. I'm not going to say better, because Tim's super successful. He's really good at what he does. He's not missed any tricks. It's just what the business plan he wanted. Tim's 25 years older than me, 20 or so. He's one generation. I was fresh out of being a lawyer from London, and I wanted a little bit more design, and I wanted to go slightly for the higher end of the market. I was staying in places in Clapham and Islington, which were done out quite well. They were nice places. The places in the Northwest at the time were a little bit more basic. They were certainly a lot cheaper. So my business plan was to do what Tim was doing, but instead of doing a basic magnolia paint flat, was to get the standard up slightly, make it more what I was used to as a lawyer, and go for the slightly higher end of the market. So that became the business plan. We did our first block in 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. And we've done a number of units now. We've bought and sold about over 500 units anyway. About a couple of years ago, I calculated it was 500 units. So somewhere in excess of about 550 something right now.
Excellent. And I think that's so key, isn't it? Because, the sort of, I guess, standing on the shoulder of giants kind of thing, maybe that's a dramatic phase, but, you had, as you say, significant portfolio. And as you say, a couple of decades on you in terms of the experience and everything. But it is, I think, so important to tailor things, to, as you said, to have something that is important to you. And you knew that lifestyle, as you say, you knew the lawyer lifestyle, what would be important to them. Putting those extra touches, as you say, just gives you, your brand something, doesn't it, specific? So in terms of design then, I mean, we heard from our previous guest around MMC, so modern methods of construction, and looking at ways that brand leaders innovate. And, so is there anything you can speak to around a design or other kind of technical developments or other things that have been important to you, or that you're really, zeroing in on?
Design's key to our business, and that's not me. I shouldn't really be having this chat with you. I like design, I appreciate it, but I'm a lawyer by training, and I'm better with financials and strategy, to be totally honest, than I am with design. My wife is an amazing interior designer. She's won awards. She does amazing high-end stuff. And we've got an amazing architect in our business who's employed on the books for about 50% of his time. Those two people really spearhead our design. So Simon, the architect's been on board for about 5 years now. My wife came in at the beginning with me, basically when we set the business up. So maybe she's been here. I started it off in a relatively amateurish way, did a bunch of training, got the basics right. And then when my wife came in, we turbocharged the design side, and design really sells. It's absolutely key. By design, I don't just mean being an interior designer. I don't mean just putting the furniture and the cushions. And she goes right. She's at the very beginning stages with the architect, doing the plans, working out where the lighting's going, the electric layouts, etc., etc. So yeah, design for us is important. You can't capture the high end of the market without it. We've won a couple of national prizes for our work now, so we aim to be at the top end of the market. It's a good business plan. It works, and it works especially well when there's a recession. I found in our areas we almost never drop down price wise. It becomes harder to sell flats. Like 2008, you couldn't sell anything where we were. But prices didn't really drop unless there was like one or two forced sales. The higher end of the market, the people with money still were there. The demand is always quite strong in that particular category, because even if those particular people, what I found with the people that are buying our apartments for, say, 300,000 for a 2-bedroom unit, there's them themselves, and behind them there's their parents. And the parents tend to be quite affluent as well. It's that whole sort of generational money, the bank of mum and dad, etc. So you tend to have relatively deep pockets for that segment of the market. Less so if you dip down and you're selling properties for 150,000, for example. It's a different market. So yeah, we put a lot of emphasis on design. I've always got plans in front of me. I can, I'm always looking at plans, trying to get the best layout, trying to maximize the square footage we can get. Where we are, we can sell a square meter for £4,000, for example. So we can find a couple of square meters of extra space instead of just boxing things off blandly. We can nip under the stairs and create a nice little storage unit or something. It's all nice. It all helps. It's all good. So yeah, we focus on that, on design a lot. One thing we've done recently, this is not rocket science at all. So don't think I'm trying to be particularly smart here, but I really like this. I'm proud of this concept that we've done. So, but purely because no one else in our area is doing it. So with COVID, people are working from home, people want outdoor space. We sell apartments, so that there's not much outdoor space around. Balconies are about as good as it gets. So our normal block that we do is, let's say, a block of 8 or 10, and they've got some nice big grounds attached to them. What we've been doing now for the last 6 months or so is creating almost like the old school 1970s allotments. So you'll get like a little boxed in area in the grounds. Looks nice. It's all, lap fencing, and it's got nice stones on a little bit of gravel going on. It's got electricity. It's got lights inside there. So it's a little garden pod, probably about 18 to 20 meters squared, which we're actually giving to the various apartments. We're selling them on. So just legally how we'd sell on a car parking space with a flat, we sell on these pods as well. They look like $1 million. People have their own little outdoor area as well. Very in demand. We've rolled out with a couple of the blocks that we're doing. Fantastic take up with those. So anything that we can do just to try and keep us at the top of our game in the local area without reinventing the wheel, just just polishing up, getting better on what's there. We will do, and that was a really nice example. I really like that one. We spent a bit of time on that, and it's worked really well.
They sound very nice. I think about that myself. It sounds really good. Fantastic. And in terms of building them, then did you go particularly green on that? Because obviously you said you're more on the high end. So do you use do you have goals around sustainability? Is that one of the selling points that you use, or is it more of a purely aesthetic, or do you try and balance?
We do like to go green. We don't have a goal. It's just basically on each job doing the best that we can. So we with all the building supplies, we look at them, try and be as sustainable as we can, etc. Try and bring in as many green elements as we can. So the last 3 developments we've done, even though we don't need to, we've put electric car charging points in there. The latest development we're doing, we're trying to get the gardens as natural as we can to really make a big effort with the gardens. So the last development, instead of having the car parking normally just on a tarmac or a gravelled area, we've done it on a grass area, but you can't drive a car over grass. So we've seen these lawns, and they're quite common. They're out there, and they've got little hexagonal sort of plastic sort of cases, and you pop them all over the ground, and you put the grass seeds in them, so the car will ride over the plastic. It won't crush the grass, so it actually gives an effect that it looks like a lawn. You've got loads of grass there. It's nice. It's gets the oxygen going, smells good, but it's still practical and it still works. My architect came up with the idea when we were looking at it. I went round and it was a couple of pubs in the Manchester area, and they had it going on, and it really looks nice, actually. Yeah, it's a really good effect that it creates.
Two-pronged, excellent, looks great, and like you say, it does doing its bit for the environment as well, which is brilliant. Not a worry at all. If it happens on the BBC, it can happen with us as well.
Exactly. and trust me, that always happens. It's one of the benefits of working from home, that I can just have a little cuddle of my children. I got 2 kids.
Oh, fantastic.
Anyway, Yeah, so back onto the interview. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no,
Go on.
absolutely fine. Don't worry. I was thinking whether my dog was going to have a starring role, but I think he's having a nap. So, it's brilliant though, isn't it? That's one of the things of entrepreneurship. It is obviously a lot of hard graft at the beginning, but it does give you, it can give you a lot more freedom. And I'm sure kids appreciate you being home, I'm sure.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's a double-edged sword because I'm always sneaking work in. So I'm quite often, there's been quite often times when they were very young, I'd be pushing them on the swing on my phone. I'm up the mountain skiing, for example, and I just have to stop for half an hour and do a phone call. I think it's great. I do, every now and again, it's like, oh, it's a bit much, but generally, you know what, I am not complaining. I like the lifestyle that I've set up for me. If I didn't like it, I'd change it. I'd make it change in a way. It's my business at the end of the day. And I would probably make more money and be better at the business if I actually lived in Manchester and I was just there the whole time. I am a step away. There's trade-offs for that, and I'm very happy with the lifestyle that I've got and the business that I've got in Manchester.
It's great to have significant reserves in the bank, of course. But as you say, actually, the quality of life is super important as well. And making that work, like we said, because we can get Wi-Fi nearly everywhere, because you can get a call at the top of a mountain. It's like, as you say, it is a double-edged sword. Have you had any observations or seen anything with COVID and with Brexit? Or I know obviously you're over there, but you're kind of over here as well. So have you noticed that any significant changes? I mean, obviously people may be being a bit more conservative, or are they not? What's been your experience of those two big challenges?
To be honest, if you look at the years for us, 2019 was really when Brexit became a national problem. That was when Brexit became a Manchester problem. Before then, it was probably just a London problem, and we didn't really have any sort of negatives from Brexit. 2019, the market really slowed down for us. We struggled selling things, and it became very obvious there was a recession either happening or about to happen. COVID changed everything. 2020 came. Obviously, March, April, May were just horrific for everything, for business, for people's personal lives, the full Monty. After that, the bounce from the lockdown was, I think it took everyone unawares. I mean, property prices last year were up about 10% in our area, slightly less than that, 8 to 10%, something like that. It's slow. It's not charging ahead, but there's definitely a workable market there right now. Prices are strong. People are keen to buy, mainly houses, mainly places with gardens, definitely not the city centres, the suburbs where we are. I've got quite a few more people coming looking. So it's not a bad situation to be in at the moment. COVID in 2020 was a better business environment for us than Brexit 2019, which is a very strange thing to say. I didn't for one moment think I'd be saying that this time last year when everything was going wrong. I mean, there's been loads of changes. I don't know where to start with the various things. I mean, I've noticed a lot of foreign workers as in foreign-born workers, so Polish workers, Eastern European people, they went back home. A lot of them, went back home with COVID. We ended up losing our best building team because of COVID. Their families were in Poland. They were working in Manchester. COVID hit. They went back to be with their families, and that's where they are. I've noticed a lot of changes, mainly things taking more time, mainly things costing more money, a little bit less efficiency, people wanting slightly different things. Selling flats is a little bit harder than it was like 2 or 3 years ago. People aren't wanting flats as much as, even if it's just terraced houses, just the step up from apartments. As to what's going to happen in 6 months' time, a year's time with things, I've not got a clue. I listen to very clever people every day, saying very different things about what the way that things are going to go. So I'm not going to even throw my hat into the ring with that one. With my business plan, I'm batting on as though nothing is happening. We've got deals. Our deals stack up at 25 to 40% profit margins. I'll carry on doing those deals as long as I can. We've found less deals in the last 12 months. It's been harder. People haven't been putting properties on the market. We've still got some. We really have been just knuckling down just to try and do the best work we can. Boring, old school stuff, like I say, trying to find little ways we can improve ourselves, little cost savings, efficiencies, different ways of reporting internally, anything we can. If we can't go out there and negotiate deals and do deals, the deals that we've got at the moment have to be, as done as well as we possibly can. We've got to create the best flats on the market. If anyone's looking for a flat, that we want that one person to buy our flat first. We don't want them going to another developer.